Set 2 is right around the freaking corner, so it is time to talk about some of these cards that have been spoiled. Especially the cards that I think are gonna go great in a Boba Green deck. So as a Boba Green player, these are the cards that I am most excited for to upgrade my deck in Set 2. This list is in no particular order other than like the first few cards that I'm going to talk about are probably like the for sure, like, oh, I'll play 3 of these if I can fit them, right? So the first card I'll talk about that I'm super excited for is Bazine Natal. Hopefully I said that right. Spy for the First Order. Okay. 2 cost, 1/3. And this is the important part. When she is played, you can look at the opponent's hand and discard a card from it. They do get to draw a card, but you get to take out some of their key either turn 1 plays, or if you play it later, maybe a key late game play that you're really just like, if they play this, I'm screwed, right? Play her, boom, get rid of it. How about that? Actually, I don't think you should have Super Laser Blast at 7 resources right before you're about to be able to play it. I have 4 units on the board. I don't want you to play Super Laser Blast. Get it out of here. Turn 1. I actually don't think you should ramp on curve. Get your ramp card out of here. Resupply? Get out of here. Super Laser Tech? Get out of here. You only have 1 turn 1 play in your hand? Actually, you have 0 turn 1 plays in your hand. Get that shit out of here. I think this card is exactly something that Boba Green needed to like really be that mid-range deck. Like, oh, I have an answer for this. Oh, I have an answer for that, right? I think being able to look at their hand and just get rid of a key play, a key card, I think it's going to be really good. And I think most Boba players, whether you're green or yellow, or blue, whatever, I think they're going to want to play this. Now, the next card I want to talk about, I think is kind of a sleeper, and I think people are kind of shitting on this card for some reason. From what I've heard, Lurking TIE Phantom. This is really freaking cool. It costs 3. It's a 2/2. Hold on. Let him cook. It has Raid 2. And most importantly, it can't be captured, damaged, or defeated by enemy card abilities. So no takedown, no power of the dark side, no vanquish, no rivals fall, no open fire, no pinging from a leader or whatever. This blocks a lot of stuff. And if I'm like understanding this correctly, you can have this on the field, and if they play Power of the Dark Side or Avenger or anything that makes you choose to defeat something, I'm thinking you could just select the Lurking TIE Fighter and just be immune to those cards. Can you just be immune to Power of the Dark Side with this? Yes, please. That would be amazing. That's exactly the perfect card I need to counter blue. Thank you. I will play 6 of these in my deck. Okay, maybe not 6, but I still want 7th Fleet. 7th Fleet and this bad boy. People are shitting on it because it dies to like a TIE Fighter or make an opening. But a lot of things die to those stuff. A lot of things die, right? Think of all the stuff it doesn't die to. Overwhelming Barrage can't kill this thing. Palpatine can't kill this thing. Like, come on, this is sick. And if it's not dealt with, I could just deal 4 damage. In space? Yes, please. I love this card. And I'm really excited to test it out. I think the last card that I think is just, for sure going to be good, and that I'm excited for, of course, as a Boba player, Boba Fett's armor. Duh. Like, I think this will go in, like, every Boba Fett deck. I think it's one of the better Boba cards, as it should be, coming from Set 2. Now, this thing is just really awesome. And it's pretty easy to play this on the Boba turn because it only costs 2. And if you're playing around with 7 to 8 resources, you could drop this and a 5 cost. Easy. Boba Fett's armor, 2 resources, attached to a non-vehicle unit. Please attach this to Boba Fett and only Boba Fett. Leader or unit, preferably leader. Gives him +2/+2. And if it's attached to Boba Fett, he prevents 2 damage. Anytime damage is dealt to him. You just prevent 2 of it. That's awesome. And he'll be a 6/9. Not much is going to be able to deal with that. He's going to be a tank hitting for 6 right on turn 3. If you get your ramp and you're on curve, right on turn 3, you just got a buff leader hitting for 6. The only thing I can see like cleanly dealing with this is a blue card, Rivals Fall. It's the only thing you really got to worry about, but Bazine is going to knock that shit out of your hands, so it's not even going to matter. Don't worry about it. The rest of these cards that I'm excited for, I think they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be really good cards. But I'm having trouble picturing, like, removing some of the stuff that's already in my deck from set 1 to fit these cards in. And the next card I'm going to talk about, some of you might think it's crazy that I am having trouble trying to fit this in. But the next card that I am excited about, and I think will be good in Boba, is McClunky. Now, it's a 1 cost. You bounce one of your own Underworld cards, you deal 3 damage to one of their units. That's really good. You spend 1 to deal 3 damage, essentially. You're probably going to have a low-cost Underworld card. Bazine is a really good target for this. I believe, yes, she's Underworld. Let's see, Greedo is Underworld. He's a great target for this. And Baldy, Crafty Smuggler, another good target. I think I need to test it more. 1 for 3 damage. That seems like a no-brainer. But I think Boba is all about tempo. Boba Green, Boba Yellow, they're all about tempo. And I think returning one of your units, your turn 1 play, essentially, can be a little rough on the tempo side, right? Now, I think a really cool combo for this is in the late game, when you have a Fett's Fire Spray on the field, and you've had it on the field, you played it last turn, you deal 5 damage, obviously. Next turn, you got 7 resources, you swing in with it, play McClunky, deal 3 damage to something, put the Fett's Fire Spray back into your hand. Then, with the other 6 resources, guess what? You can just bring back the Fett's Fire Spray, hit for another 5. That's 15 damage with Fett's Fire Spray over the course of 2 turns. 10 damage in 1 turn with Fett's Fire Spray. I think that's going to lead to some really cool endgame combos. And that's kind of where I'm excited for McClunky. Less so in that like early game period, you know? Now, in the similar vein to McClunky being able to return an Underworld card to your hand, I'm really excited for a card called A New Adventure. It's a Gambit, costs 2, it's double yellow aspect, so it'd be 4 if I'm playing it in Boba Green, but it's 2 if I'm playing Boba Yellow. It says return a non-leader unit that costs 6 or less to its owner's hand, then its owner may play it for free. Now, this seems interesting to like essentially exhaust your opponent's units, get rid of any upgrades on your opponent's units for 2. It's like a bamboozle, but it destroys upgrades instead of just returning them to your hand. Get rid of any shields on your opponent's units. But I think this is really crazy paired with Fett's Fire Spray. You're telling me I can swing in for 5, spend 2 to basically redeploy my Fett's Fire Spray for free? I can basically pay 2 to just swing with Fett's Fire Spray and then untap it and then swing with Fett's Fire Spray again, or heal all the damage from it. I think it's going to be really cool paired with Fett's Fire Spray in a similar vein as McClunky. So I could really see, you know, making a Boba deck that's specifically about just Fett's Fire Spray recursion. I think that's going to be really interesting to kind of test and develop as the set comes out and the meta changes, and I think it'll be interesting. Now, since we're talking about double aspect cards, another double aspect yellow card. It's a legendary. It's called Final Showdown. This card I'm really excited about. Don't think I would play this in Boba Green. 8 resources? Maybe I would. I don't know. This card seems really cool, and it really fits the Boba Fett strategy of just like playing a bunch of units, as many as you can, and then when you're about to end the game, like, you either need to end the game now or you're going to lose, right? So this card says, ready each unit you control. At the start of the regroup phase, you lose the game. So I think it would be very good in a situation where, which happens a lot with Boba, at least when I'm playing, right, is like you get to this point in the game, you have your end game stuff, you have a Fett's Fire Spray, maybe you dropped a Vader, and you either win the game now or you lose to like the end game grindy decks, right? You win the game now, this turn, or you lose. So this would be incredible at that point in the game, right? It's like, I have to win the game now. I'm going to swing with everything, play this, untap everything, swing again. And usually you have a lot of units, and I think this would work really well. Just seems like a really fun, interesting gambit to have at the end of the game. It's risky, of course. If they have an answer for it, you're dead in the water. That's why I'm not, auto including this in my favorite cards, or I'm not going to auto put this in my Boba Green deck. But I think it's really interesting and fun, and I could see myself using something like this. Similarly to how I use Attack Pattern Delta in my Boba Green deck. I could see myself putting something like this in my deck to just kind of really throw people for a loop. Now, let's go back to talking about units. I think another really good card, really good early game yellow card, Cloud Rider. I think this could be good. A lot of times, especially when you're playing aggro, your job as the Boba player is just to deal with whatever they play, right? So my turn 1 play, if it's a Greedo, I just want my Greedo to deal 3 damage to their Sabine or their Battlefield Marine. I want my Greedo to just kill their turn 1 play. Now, if I can kill their turn 1 play on turn 1, Cloud Rider has Ambush, 2 cost 3/1 with Ambush. If I could just play this turn 1 and delete whatever they played, I think that's really good. And I think this could be really good late game, too. Now, something I was thinking about. Boba Green, you want to ramp. Okay? Another card I'm excited for. I'm excited to test it, at least, in any type of ramp deck. I think it's going to be really good in stuff like Palpatine and Vader ramp. Price on your head. 2 cost. Bounty. It's an upgrade. It attaches to a unit. So if you attach to an opponent's unit, you kill that unit, you get to play a resource from the top of your library. Now, I believe that resource would come in tapped. I'm not exactly sure how that'll work. It would be really cool if it came in readied, but I think it comes in exhausted just because that's how things like resupply works. I think it'll be similar to that. But who knows? I mean, Super Laser Tech dies and is played readied, so I'm not sure exactly how it'll work. If it comes in readied, incredible. If it doesn't, it's still good to be able to ramp for 2 cost, right? So with Cloud Rider in mind, I'm thinking turn 1 price on your head, turn 2 Cloud Rider into the card that had price on your head on it. You ramp on turn 2 anyway, but it only costs you 2 resources. Kill a unit at the same time, and then you untap from Cloud Rider killing that unit, and you still got two resources to play with. I know it will require a lot of early game cards to pull something like that off, but that's a possibility. Or turn 1 press on your head, turn 2 Super Laser Tech. Now all of a sudden, if that Super Laser Tech can kill whatever has price on your head on it, that's 2 resources at once. So your Boba turn is going to have 6 resources. Now you're playing with 8 resources. 9 resources. Now you're playing with 9 resources. That would be pretty cool. Having 6 resources on your first Boba turn on turn 3. It seems like a lot has to fall in line to pull that off, but I think it is a possibility. Price on your head could be an interesting ramp card to go in Boba Green. And I think it's going to be an interesting ramp card that's going to go in like all of the late game control ramp decks. Like I said earlier, Palpatine, Vader. I think this is going to really change how those decks function, and it's going to change the consistency of how they're able to ramp in a good way. I think it's going to be great. Another card that I'm really interested to try out, I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into it, Cobb Vanth. He costs 3. He's a 3/2. When he's defeated, you search the top 10 cards of your deck for a card that costs 2 or less, a unit that costs 2 or less, and you discard it. For the phase, you could play it from your discard pile for free. Now, if you're running Cloud Rider, if you're running Crafty Smuggler, if you're running Greedo, if you're running a bunch of 2-cost or lower cards, Bazine, I think having that unit recursion, which Boba loves that. He loves playing a bunch of units. I think that's going to be really powerful. They deal with Cobb Vanth. Great. Now I get to search my deck for maybe a Cloud Rider that I could pop in for free and ambush something. Maybe I could search for a Bazine that I could play for free and just get rid of one of your cards. Like, I feel like there's a lot of value there for 3. I think he will fit really well in a Boba deck. And I'm pretty excited about him. Now, these next couple cards, they're kind of a combo. We got 4 Lom, Bounty Hunter for Hire, 4 cost, 4/4 with Ambush. Now, already, that's great. That's great. You get a 4-power ambush unit a turn before Bosk. I'll throw in as much ambush as I possibly can. Cloud Rider, 4 Lom, Bosk. I'll be the ambush deck. But he has an interesting piece of text right at the end. Each friendly unit named Zuckuss gets +1/+1 and gains ambush. Now, Zuckuss is another Bounty Hunter for Hire. 5 cost, 6/6 with Saboteur. Now, 5 cost, 6/6 on curve, 6 power, 6 toughness at 5. That's a pretty solid unit right there. And his text says that each friendly unit named Forlom gets +1/+1 and gains Saboteur. So all of a sudden, Forlom becomes a 5/5 with ambush. And vice versa, Zuckuss becomes a 7/7 with ambush for 5. Now, I know a lot of things, this kind of needs to come together really spectacularly to make this work. I'm not sure how often it'll work. I'll need to test it, of course. But that just seems really freaking fun. I think that would be really cool to have access to in a Boba deck. 5 cost, 7/7 with Ambush. That's what we're trying to get with a Steadfast Battalion. But we have to pair that with ECL. And we have to have our leader out. All this guy has to have is 4 Lom out. So, might not be so bad. Now, staying in line with big boy ambush, we got Maul. 7 cost, 7/6 ambush overwhelm. Now, at first, I thought this guy was going to be legendary, but he's only rare. If you don't have Vaders, you don't want to buy Vaders, just throw in a Maul, maybe. I mean, I don't know if it'll be as good. I think Vader still does more for the Boba strategy. But 7 for a 7/6 with ambush and overwhelm, that could be very powerful. Especially if you're targeting like a low health unit, you're just dealing like 5-6 damage right to the base. Or 7. I think that's really powerful. Really good way to end a game, Or just take out their leader that has 7 health. His other ability is an on attack, and you can choose a friendly underworld unit, which is great in Boba. If you do, all combat damage that would be dealt to this unit during this attack is dealt to the chosen unit instead. If you have a Crafty Smuggler on the field, play a Maul. All the damage that would go to Maul goes to Crafty's shield. That's pretty cool. I think there's going to be some argument to put this in your deck instead of a Vader. But again, I think Vader's ability to bring out another unit is a little bit more powerful for a Boba deck. I think Maul is going to be great in pretty much every other deck that he goes in. But specifically for Boba, if you're arguing between Darth Vader and Maul, I still think Darth Vader is a little bit better because of that extra unit. But Maul's really cool. I'm excited to test him out. Now, another green. Timely Intervention. 1 cost. Gives a unit ambush. And it also has Smuggle. Smuggle for 2. You come up, Peppy? Come on. Come on. Come on. What? You want to come up? So, if you don't need it right away, you could lay it down as a resource. And late game, smuggle this in for 2 and give anything ambush. Say you've already used your energy conversion lab. This is just another way to give something ambush. And I think that would be pretty good. When I first saw this card, I was like, oh my god, this is nuts. Nuts. It's a one cost energy conversion lab. But thinking about it, it's like it does kind of suck that you have to pay this for it. With energy conversion lab, we're kind of spoiled. And we can just play a unit on curve with ambush, like Steadfast Battalion on 5 resources. But say we have 6 resources. Play a Steadfast Battalion with timely intervention. I think there will be a place for it. But who knows? Maybe paying this much, might be a little steep, and you might as well just run the energy conversion lab. Last green card I'll talk about. Obviously, that would go into Boba Green. Palpatine's Return. Now, as soon as I saw this card, play a unit from your discard pile. It costs 6 less. If it's a Force unit, it costs 8 less. Palpatine's Return costs 6. Toby. It costs 6. So, first thing I thought of, 6 or less. That's Fire Spray. If they deal with your Fet's Fire Spray, Palpatine's Return, bring it back. Boom. They deal with a Vader. Force unit costs 8 less. Play a free Vader from your discard. I don't think there's going to be room to play this in a Boba Green. And I think it's a little bit of a steep ask to have all these situations happen so perfectly. I think this might be a good sideboard instead of like an Emperor's Legion. If you know that they're going to have a way to deal with your Fet's Fire Spray, you know that they're going to have a way to deal with your Vader. Like, this is Fet's Fire Spray 4, 5, and 6, and it's also Vader 4, 5, and 6, and those are like your 2 best game winners, right? This just adds to that. I think it could be really good. Now, those are the main cards I'm excited for. But there's a few honorable mentions that I think could be really good. First one is another legendary. It costs 6. It's called Evacuate. Now, I don't know if this is a Boba card. It seems more like a control card. Cost 6. Return each non-leader unit to its owner's hand. This is going to be really annoying, especially in, God forbid, blue-yellow decks. You're telling me you have Evacuate and Super Laser Blast? Come on. So I don't know if it'll be good in Boba, but it seems like a really, really powerful yellow card. And it honestly, I think, could find a place in a Boba deck. Another sort of honorable mention is Dr. Evazan. Dr. Evazan, wanted on 12 systems, of course. He's a 2-cost 3/3 shielded, which right there, it's like, holy crap, this card's busted. But it has a bounty, so if he dies, your opponent gets to ready up to 12 resources, which seems insane, and it seems like I'll never play this card, right? I think it has its place. I think there are going to be ways that you can play around that bounty, where you can kind of get your Evazan killed before they planned on killing it. But I think if you do play around that bounty really well, I think he's going to tear up the early game. 3/3 shielded, that's nothing to freaking scoff at. The last sort of honorable mention, I think it'll for sure possibly have a place in sideboards. Criminal Muscle, 1-cost 2/1 Underworld unit. So, when played, you may return a non-unique upgrade to its owner's hand. Now, very upgrade-heavy set. We got bounties. We got freaking lightsabers running around. We got the dark saber. Very upgrade-heavy meta. I can see this card doing really well in. Especially, I think at least it'll be sideboarded, right? If you know you're gonna be playing a deck that has a lot of upgrades, boom, throw this in. I think it'll do really well, especially paired with McClunky. Like, these when played abilities, these early unit when played abilities would be amazing with McClunky. Now, that is all of the cards that I'm stoked for as a Boba Green player. And I'm thinking green, yellow. I might go double yellow Boba. But for sure, green Boba, because that's what I've been playing my hundreds of games in set 1 as. These are the cards I want to upgrade my green Boba deck with. And honestly, double yellow Boba's looking really good. Looking real good. I might have to switch over to that. We'll see how the meta shakes out. We'll see how these cards, play against some of the other decks that are going to come up, obviously. I think every deck is going to have amazing upgrades. Oh, Peppa, you want to go down? Say bye. Say bye. Say bye, Peppa. I think every deck is going to have amazing upgrades. And I think there's going to be a bunch of new decks that come out. We got like, what, 30 freaking leaders? Like, that's pretty nuts. I'm really excited for set 2. And I'm really excited to see how I can upgrade Boba. Somehow make him even more dominant.